Hi, this is Adam Blaylock, and you're listening to Adam the Movie Guy. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show. Warning, the show you're about to listen to contains strong language and an unhinged host. Don't take me too serious, I'm doing a bit here, so stay the fuck off my back. Enjoy. If this shocks you, if this offends you, and you clicked on the wrong fucking podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Adam the Movie Guy. Today's movie is 1933's The Invisible Man, directed by James Whale and starring Claude Rains as Dr. Jack Griffin, aka The Invisible Man, Gloria Stewart as Flora Cranley, Henry Travers as Dr. Cranley, William Harrigan as Dr. Arthur Kemp, Una O'Connor as Jenny Hall, Forrester Harvey as Herbert Hall, Holmes Herbert as the police chief, E.E. Clive as Constable Jaffers, and Dudley Diggs as the chief detective. I'm pretty excited to talk about this movie since it's one of the most overlooked of the classic Universal monster films, and so is The Invisible Man as a character. That and I need to get the taste of ass out of my mouth that was The Mummy. So let's get started with the plot synopsis. The plot of the film is as follows. Dr. Jack Griffin discovers the secret of invisibility, which has the unforeseen consequence of turning him insane with a case of megalomania. He terrorizes the English countryside, causing chaos and killing indiscriminately, even going so far as derailing a train and killing over 100 people. The love of his life, Flora, desperately tries to reach him to no avail, and he threatens his colleague, Dr. Kemp, into being his partner. This all culminates in death and destruction, with a final confrontation in a barn, with the police surrounding the Invisible Man and shooting him as he attempts to escape on foot in the snow. The film ends with the Invisible Man dying in the hospital, being comforted by Flora. As he passes, he finally regains his visibility. There's a lot to unpack with the character of Jack Griffin, our Invisible Man, so let's get started with the next segment. Now, I usually list every major character before getting to the main star of the show, which would be the villain/monster, but the only character I want to talk about is Jack Griffin, the Invisible Man, and the villain of the movie. Now, having said this, I don't think anyone else in the cast did bad. They were actually very good. Even Una O'Connor, while being annoying as fuck, she did make me chuckle a bit at the same time. But Claude Rains is a tour de force in this fucking movie. His acting is incredible as Jack Griffin, aka The Invisible Man. He can go from being genuinely sympathetic to homicidal to megalomaniacal all at the drop of a hat. And it is truly remarkable how in every scene he's in, just the power of his voice just carries this whole entire film. Starting off in the beginning of the movie when he's at the inn working on finding the cure, and he keeps getting interrupted by the innkeeper's wife, played by Una O'Connor.
And a whole day's work ruined by a foolish ignorant woman. There must be a way back. God knows there's a way back. If only they'd leave me alone.
And when he is getting kicked out and is pleading with the innkeeper, Mr. Hall, to unfortunately no avail, before turning violent, shows perfectly how he was a good man before his invisibility experiment, and how the drug is affecting his mind and turning him violent.
Look here, mister. We can't have this no more. You've broken the wife's best china, you're a week behind with the rent. You've got to pack up and go.
I'm expecting some money, Mr. Hall. I'll pay you directly it comes.
You said that last week and it hasn't come yet.
I came here for quiet and secrecy. I'm carrying out a difficult experiment. I must be left alone. It's vital. It's life and death that I should be left alone. You don't understand.
I understand all right. You don't pay. And what's more, you're driving folks away from our house.
Mr. Hall, I've had a serious accident. It's disfigured me. Affected my eyes.
I don't mean that. I mean the way you carry on. Throwing things about on the carpets and swearing. It's no good, mister. You've got to go.
I implore you to let me stay. I beg of you.
The wife says if you don't go, she is, so it's got to be you. Come on, I'll help you to get this stuff packed up.
Leave that alone and get out of here!
Look here, is this my house or yours? What are you doing, help?
He ends up throwing the innkeeper down the stairs in a surprisingly violent scene for the 1930s, and you actually see blood, which is shocking to me when he smashes his head out the bottom of the stairs. This all leads to the iconic moment in the film when confronted by the fellow townsfolk and the other people who are staying at the inn with a police constable man. Griffin dramatically takes off his fake nose, glasses, and wig, and finally his face bandages to show them all he's completely invisible.
I give you a last chance to leave me alone.
Give me a last chance. You've committed assault, this what you've done, and you can come along to the station with me. Come along now, come quietly, unless you want me to put the handcuffs on.
Stop where you are. You don't know what you're doing.
I know what I'm doing, all right. Come on, get all of him.
Lock him up!
All right, you fools. You've brought it on yourselves. Everything would have come right if you'd only left me alone. You've driven me near madness with your peering through the keyholes and gaping through the curtains. And now you'll suffer for it. You're crazy to know who I am, aren't you? All right, I'll show you. There's a souvenir for you. And one for you. I'll show you who I am and what I am.
Look, he's all eaten away.
How do you like that, eh?
They try to catch him, but he runs circles around them while beating them senseless before giving this badass boast.
You're satisfied now, you fools. It's easy, really, if you're clever. A few chemicals mixed together, that's all. And flesh and blood and bone just fade away. A little of this injected under the skin of the arm every day for a month. An invisible man can rule the world. Nobody will see him come. Nobody will see him go. He can hear every secret. He can rob, rape, and kill.
Not if he can't get no further than this room, he won't.
You shut the door.
We later learned that the drug used for his invisibility formula by his former colleagues, called monocaine.
Is monocaine. Monocaine? What is monocaine? Monocaine's a terrible drug. I never heard of it. You wouldn't, Kemp. It's never used now. I didn't know it was even made. It's a drug that's made from a flower that's grown in India. It draws color from everything it touches. Years ago, they tried it for bleaching cloth. They gave it up because it destroyed the material.
That doesn't sound very terrible.
Yes, I know, but it does something else, Kemp. It was tried out on some poor animal, a dog, I believe. It was injected under the skin, and it turned the dog dead white, like a marble statue.
Isn't that so?
Yes, and it also sent it raving mad.
You surely don't think
I only pray to God that Griffin hasn't been meddling with this ghastly stuff.
he'd never touch a thing with madness in it?
He might not know. I found that experiment in an old German book just by chance. The English books only describe the bleaching power. They were printed before the German experiment.
What are we going to do, Doctor?
I think we must tell the police.
This reinforces that as psychotic and evil that the Invisible Man is acting, he too is a victim of unforeseen consequences, with his mental state being affected by a side effect he literally knew nothing about, which kind of fucked him over. He later tracks down his old colleague, Dr. Kemp, who he intimidates into being his partner under threat of death, and he explains his discovery of invisibility, of how it happened.
This is the national station broadcasting this evening's news. Remarkable story from Country Village. The police and doctors are investigating an astonishing story told this afternoon by the people of the village of Iping. It appears that a mysterious disease has broken out, infecting a large number of the inhabitants. It takes the form of a delusion that an invisible man is living among them. Several people have been seriously injured, probably through fighting among themselves and their belief that their opponent is an invisible man. The whole village is in a state of panic, and everyone
deserves the fate that's coming to them. Panic, death, things worse than death. Sit down, unless you want me to knock your brains out. Sit down! I began 5 years ago, in secret, working all night, every night, right into the dawn. 1,000 experiments, 1,000 failures, and then, at last, the great, wonderful day.
But why? Why do it, Griffin?
Just a scientific experiment at first. That's all. To do something no other man in the world had done. But there's more to it than that, Kemp. I know now. It came to me suddenly. The drugs I took seemed to light up my brain. Suddenly I realized the power I held. The power to rule, to make the world grovel at my feet. We'll soon put the world right now, Kemp. You and I.
You mean?
I must have a partner, Kemp. A visible partner to help me in the little things. You're my partner, Kemp. We'll begin with a reign of terror. A few murders here and there. Murders of great men, murders of little men, just to show we make no distinction. We might even wreck a train or two. Just these fingers around a signalman's throat. That's all.
He also has a surprisingly tender moment with the love of his life, Flora, which unfortunately gets ruined by another manic mood swing of his.
Why did you do this?
For you, Flora.
For me?
Yes, for you, my darling. I wanted to do something tremendous. To achieve what men of science have dreamt of since the world began. To gain wealth and fame and honor. To write my name above the greatest scientists of all time. I was so pitifully poor. I had nothing to offer you, Flora. I was just a poor, struggling chemist. I shall come back to you, Flora, very soon now. The secret of invisibility lies there in my books. I shall work in Kent's laboratory till I find the way back. There is a way back, Flora, and then I shall come to you. I shall offer my secret to the world with all its terrible power. The nations of the world will bid for it, thousands, millions. The nation that wins my secret can sweep the world with invisible armies.
Jack,
He discovers Dr. Kemp betrayed him and threatens to kill him at a specific time the next night in a very chilling manner.
You're a true friend, Kemp. A man to trust. I've no time now, but believe me, as surely as the moon will set and the sun will rise, I shall kill you tomorrow night. I shall kill you even if you hide in the deepest cave of the earth. At 10 o'clock tomorrow night.
He then proceeds to go on a rampage all across the English countryside, killing search parties hot on his trail, random acts of destruction and violence, as well as a comedic scene of him walking into a bank, stealing a drawer full of cash, and loudly broadcasting in the streets that there's free money while tossing it all on the ground to laugh at people fighting over the cash.
There
you are. A present from the Invisible Man. Money, 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 money. Up and down the city road, in and out the eagle. That's the way the money goes. Up goes the weasel. Money, 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 money.
He even goes so far to derail a fucking train, killing 100 people, and we get a body count by the officers trying to catch him.
20 men of the search parties have been killed, and 100 in the train disaster. The Invisible Man has been reported in 100 different places.
Now I appeal to you to help us keep the public calm.
Can you tell us what plans you've got for capturing him?
100,000 men are searching and watching.
This motherfucker is a super villain. He has more confirmed kills of any classic Universal monster, and it's pretty hardcore for the 1930s. Oh, and that threat he made to Kemp about killing him? Well, Kemp thinks he's getting away later on in the movie. He's in his car driving alone, and he's talking shit, thinking he's getting away, until he hears a familiar voice behind him.
10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, he wanted to murder me.
I think this will do nicely, Kemp. We'll stop here.
It's 10 o'clock. I came with you to keep my promise.
No, it's all a mistake, Griffin. I swear I never told the police. I want to help you. Let me be your partner.
I've had a cold and uncomfortable journey just to keep my promise at 10 o'clock. I went into the police station with you, Kemp. I stood by while you changed into that coat. I rode on the running board of the car that took you home again.
So the Invisible Man makes this son of a bitch pull over. He subdues Kemp, drives the car toward the edge of a cliff, and pushes this son of a bitch out of it, with the car crashing, then exploding in flames while he laughs like a lunatic.
I hope your car's insured, Kemp. I'm afraid there's going to be a nasty accident in a minute. A very nasty accident.
Griffin, I'll do anything. Everything you ask me. You will? That's fine. Just sit where you are. I'll get out and take the handbrake off and give you a little shove to help you on. You'll run gently down and through the railings. Then you'll have a big thrill for 100 yards or so till you hit a boulder. Then you'll do a somersault and probably break your arms. Then a grand finish up with a broken neck. Well, goodbye, Kemp. I always said you were a dirty little coward. You're a dirty, sneaking little rat as well. Goodbye.
The Invisible Man is hands down the most cold-blooded villain who makes Dracula look like a Boy Scout in comparison. It is a crime that he doesn't get as much love as the big three monsters, Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Wolfman. And yeah, I call the monster Frankenstein. If you got a problem with that, listen to my Frankenstein episode, and you'll know how I feel about that. Last thing I wanted to say about the Invisible Man is that, mentioned earlier that in spite of all the evil things that he does in this movie. Oh, and I forgot to mention, he knocks down a baby carriage with a baby inside.
Holy shit.
But what I'm saying is Claude Rains is such an amazing actor in how he could switch from diabolical madman to a sympathetic suffering scientist literally mid-sentence. From his interaction with the innkeeper pleading to stay, to his first scene with Kemp explaining his discovery, to his scene with Flora when he explains his motive behind it all. He sounds genuinely sympathetic, and they really hammer home the point that Jack Griffin is a good man, the Invisible Man is not. Claude Rains absolutely killed this role, and the character of the Invisible Man, at least his interpretation, deserves to be put on the same Mount Rushmore of classic Universal movie monsters. Now, let's get into the next segment. Okay, guys, I'm cutting this episode a little shorter by not doing the usual trivia section, since I couldn't find much trivia that I thought was worth bringing up. And as for my famous rant segments, the only thing I could possibly bring up at the top of my head that personally annoys the fuck out of me is the fact that some characters treat the Invisible Man like he's intangible instead of just being invisible. Like a perfect example in the scene early on in the movie, like that idiot cop when the Invisible Man is wearing a shirt and just, laughing and going around the room like a fucking lunatic. And one of the bar innkeepers, what the fuck was that guy? I don't know this fucking guy's name, but he was one of the people staying in the inn. He tells the cop to just grab him and arrest him, and the cop just replies to the guy that, what's he supposed to do, grab a shirt? Like, what the fuck kind of logic is that? He's clearly still physically present. He's not a ghost. And another thing that was kind of downplayed, but I feel should be acknowledged, is the fact that this formula that Griffin takes that makes him invisible and insane, it also makes him extremely physically strong, since Griffin says he is directly in the movie, and he literally swings a cop by his legs around in a circle and throws him like he was a bowling ball. And the movie was kind of taking the show don't tell approach, no pun intended, to that aspect of the Invisible Man, which I feel like should be pointed out because that was kind of cool to show that, okay, this guy is physically stronger than majority of the people he runs into. So it's not just the fact that he's invisible. He can literally beat the living shit out of you too. Well, that's all for this segment. Let's bring it on home with the final one. Well, guys, this is the end of the show. My final thoughts on the movie is that it is a must-see, and the Invisible Man is truly one of the most deadly of the Universal monsters who needs to get more love and earns his spot next to the others. I award this movie 4.5 bandages out of 5. I picked bandages since that's his iconic look, and in my opinion, he does it better than even the Mummy. That's all for this episode, guys. Tune into my next. See you next time.